What's good, y'all? So, Vasyl Lomachenko turns down Devin Haney undisputed fight for tune-up fight first? What? Okay, so basically, 16 wins, 11 knockouts, 2 losses. Former unified lightweight champion Vasyl Lomachenko wants to take a tune-up fight before he fights undefeated, 28 wins, 15 knockouts, undisputed lightweight champion Devin Haney. And look, coming with that stuff, man. He's already had fights against Nakatani and Richard Comey, but I will say that he is dealing with the Ukraine situation, so it's not that bad. It isn't that bad, but he has had pretty significant instances of his last real considerable break from boxing would have been his Nakatani fight coming from the Teofimo Lopez loss. But anything other than that, he's been pretty consistent throughout his career. So I guess a tune-up fight would be reasonable because, he's in Ukraine and he's probably not conditioning or training himself. Maybe not. I don't know. He might be home right now. He might actually just be home and he's just not in the ring yet, and he just doesn't have a fight with him and a fight prepared for him, which is also understandable as well. And as for that fight too, you should definitely have a tune-up fight before you fight Devin Haney. Devin Haney is one serious dude, man. He's one serious individual. He is he's a very serious person. Bob Arum could make this fight happen. It's just that he, in terms of Devin Haney, would have to deal with George Kambosos first. As I've said before in many of my other videos, George Kambosos is not the fighter that people thought he was going to be, and he was a fighter that people thought he was before he fought Teofimo Lopez. That's truly where his skill lies at. I don't see him beating anyone else significant other than maybe a Jojo Diaz or something. I don't know. Maybe a Joseph Diaz, maybe a Linares. I wouldn't be surprised by that because he can outbox fighters, He can outbox. I feel like Kambosos can outbox some fighters. I feel like he has pretty good boxing skills. He had a victory over Lee Selby and a victory over who's the other guy? Mickey Bay, yeah, the one who's fighting Tevin Farmer soon. Speaking of that stuff, I got Mickey Bay in that fight. In my opinion, I think Mickey Bay is going to outbox Tevin Farmer. I think he's going to win by a decision. I assume it's going to be close, but I definitely do got Mickey Bay in that fight, even if he's older, I'm pretty sure. But to continue, this matchup between Kambosos and Devin Haney still is pretty irrelevant, in my opinion. It still is. And even if it didn't happen, Lomachenko would obviously try to take as many measures as possible to prepare himself for this matchup, taking a short notice fight. We're not taking a short notice fight. Taking a warm-up fight, a little one, to get him back in the game. Especially because he's more inactive than he usually is. And with inactivity, your timing can be a little less sharp. You can be a little less sharp in general. You may not be in the most tip-top shape, and that could cost you the fight. And against a Devin Haney, you need to be in as tip-top shape as possible. Otherwise, you're gonna get ran over. Not as in ran over, as in knocked out. Because Devin Haney can't knock fighters out. It's just that he's going to get ran over on those scorecards. People want to argue that, hey, you've already had 2 tune-up fights, so you want another one for Devin Haney? Why don't you just take him now, right? Oh, you're probably ducking because you're scared. No. I think it's a valid reason. Remember, he was in Ukraine at one point after this break, taking a break and not fighting and not training at all, I'm pretty sure. He was probably training for the army, but not training for a boxing match. So I do respect his idea of getting an extra little fight in before he does any significant matchups, which is valid. Personally, for me, I expect nothing too significant to happen out of this fight between Devin Haney and Vasyl Lomachenko. I don't expect too much to come out of it. I don't at all. When it comes to this matchup, I just simply feel as though even if Vasyl Lomachenko is fancy with all of these angles, Devin Haney could watch that Teofimo Lopez tape and exploit that to an even worse maximum because he has an even longer reach. It's just that he has less power. That's it. And two, Devin Haney did respond to Michael Benson because Michael Benson said, quote unquote, Bob Arum has said he's told Devin Haney that he will get the Vasyl Lomachenko fight if he wins the George Kambosos Jr. rematch on October 5th and Loma is able to leave Ukraine for a tune-up bout first. Man, then Devin Haney responds with, tune this, bad word. I wanted the fight now. I'm the champ. I don't have to wait on no one. So now, first of all, that fight is at stake of never happening due to that reason. Like he's the champion. He's a champion. It seems as if Devin Haney wants Lomachenko more than Lomachenko wants him, though. It would make sense too because people are still gonna say, even though he did beat Kambosos, people are gonna say, man, Vasyl Lomachenko is gonna destroy Devin Haney. He's gonna beat him up. All these other guys are gonna beat him. Teofimo Lopez is still gonna beat him, even though he lost to Kambosos. All that stuff because quote unquote styles make fights, right? Styles do make fights. I am a believer in styles make fights. When it came to Kambosos, levels made fights, in my opinion. I feel like there's a line between styles make fights and there's a line between levels make fights. And in this case, levels make fights. Levels make fights. Just like, let me think of it like an example. Let me think of one. Okay, Hector Garcia versus Chris Colbert. Now, Chris Colbert is... Okay, now Hector Garcia is an unjudged fighter. Okay, he's an unjudged fighter with millions of no contests, but I truly don't think that he is world class. I truly don't. Actually, that may be a poor example. That's probably like a poor example. I don't really know like any examples like on the top of my head to really think of a levels make fight situation that was like so obvious where like a fighter looked good until he got beat up by another fighter in good fashion. Maybe like a case of Adrian Broner, probably, because Adrian Broner had aspects of his skill set that were good, but they weren't the best necessarily because for instance, like Sean Porter. Sean Porter was an actual elite. Sean Porter was like an actual elite fighter at 147. And even an elite fighter at 142 if he ever went down. I doubt he would, but still. With that being said, like Broner is like a flat-footed fighter who doesn't like to who likes to walk you down, but he isn't even that active when it comes to punching output. And he is a person who admires his shots. And secondly, too, even with his style, he's not the most intelligent fighter compared to other opponents, like against Marcos Maidana, for example. Marcos Maidana kept hitting him with that overhand bait, and Broner kept falling for it repeatedly on multiple occasions and kept getting outsmarted in that fight. It wasn't just like a Broner bad performance. It wasn't just like Broner got exposed at the highest level. Like, Broner literally just didn't have the boxing intelligence or just the fighting instinct to somehow counter that and get over that. He kept falling for the exact same attack on a repeated basis. Something that Devon Alexander, who was washed up by like 2014, managed to do quite easily and quite handily. But to go back into the present, this case is not levels make fights, because I think levels make fights doesn't work with two elite fighters unless you're Lomachenko versus Rigondeaux. Okay, that's valid right there. That's valid. The levels make fights example goes really well with Kambosos, even though he did beat Teofimo Lopez. I think I just don't think that George Kambosos was on that level of a Teofimo Lopez or a Devin Haney or a Lomachenko. The Kambosos fight was good though. Okay, the Kambosos fight was good and it was competitive, but in reality, like, Linares gave Haney a lot of a better fight than Kambosos. I'm not saying that Kambosos would lose to Linares, but I wouldn't be surprised. it's so awesome that Devin Haney's undisputed at such a young age. I would love to see this Vasyl Lomachenko fight, though. I really would, man. I don't think anyone's ducking in this scenario or situation. I just think that it's valid for a Vasyl Lomachenko to have a tune-up. I see nothing wrong with that. You know, compared to what other people may think, like, oh, Vasyl Lomachenko, first of all, he emailed this guy and now he doesn't want to fight him. He's scared, this and all that other ridiculous nonsense. And personally, this is just a valid situation. So let me know your opinions in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching very much. Please hit the notification bell and peace out. You know what I'm saying? All right, peace out.